The Biden administration is stepping in to help with contract talks between railroads and unions.
There is a push to find an agreement before the railway workers go on strike, possibly as soon as this Friday. Labor Secretary Martin Walsh met with railroad executives and union leaders in Washington, D.C. this morning. The two sides are still at odds over sick time and attendance policies. 30% of all U.S. freight shipments could be impacted if there is a strike, putting further strain on the overwhelmed supply chain.
There's just no question that it would be extremely devastating, and its impacts would compound very rapidly over a couple of days.
A federal law on the books allows Congress to step in and prevent railway workers from striking, but Democratic leaders say they don't want to go down that road. Republican Senator Jerry Moran of Kansas says he's worried about farmers being able to ship their crops, and he is urging Congress to act. Amtrak is canceling all long-haul trains, including the popular Empire Builder from Chicago to Seattle and the California Zephyr from Chicago to San Francisco.
And some commuter rail lines are warning customers to find an alternate transportation beginning Friday. Bob Lettenberger is the assistant editor of Trains Magazine, which is based in Waukesha. Bob, welcome to Live at 4.
Hi, Bob. Good to see you.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
So how did we get to this point?
This has been a long haul. The negotiations that you were just referencing now have actually been going on since about 2019. And if you really trace the roots of rank and file morale as far as railroad workers are concerned, boy, we can trace this all the way back to the early part of the 90s. In fact, some sources have told us that right now, railroad worker morale is probably at the lowest that it's been since 1992. So this has been going on for a while.
What are the major sticking points in this conflict?
Well, the first one was wages. And the Presidential Emergency Board recommendation of a 24% raise pretty much took care of that. It wasn't quite what the unions wanted, but it's a significant raise. Probably the last and the biggest sticking point is let's call it human relations matters. Sick time, how sick time is accounted for, when workers can take time off, how many days workers can be on call, and then some of the policies that railroads have put in place that actually penalize workers if they take a sick day to get a physical or to take care of a child or a family member. There's a big line in the sand when it comes to those personal days and that vacation and the sick time, and that's the sticking point right now.
Can we cross that line, do you think?
It depends on which side you're looking at. The unions are standing very firm. In fact, the two biggest unions yet that are still the keys in the negotiation, the engineers and the conductors, have pretty much put the line in the sand and said, we're not going to agree to something until those items are discussed. The railroads on the other side are saying, wait a minute, our policies already address that, and we've given you a raise. Let's move on here. So yeah, they are locking horns right now in a very serious manner.
What do you think are the impacts to the economy and to all of us, those of us at home, if this strike actually happens on Friday?
Sure. Well, and first off, just to make sure everyone understands, there may or may not be a strike on Friday. Friday is the first opportunity under the Railroad Labor Act that they can actually strike. Okay, so it might not happen right away. Impacting us, you already mentioned Amtrak. Amtrak, as of this afternoon, has suspended all of their long-distance trains. Commuter rail, if you're heading into Chicago, you better check. They are starting to shut down things starting Thursday night into Friday. For freight, in the Madison area, Wisconsin and Southern serves Madison. They are not part of the strike talk or the negotiations that are going on here, but as a short line, they can still serve their customers, but then to hand that freight off to a bigger railroad to move it somewhere else, isn't going to happen if there's a strike. So, when it comes down to us on the street, foodstuffs. There is a lot of food that is moved by rail. We might start to see shortages there. Chlorine that's used by municipal water utilities to purify our drinking water, that moves by rail. There are still places in this country that electricity is generated by coal. And when those stockpiles start to run down, if the plants can switch to natural gas, or if the utilities have to buy natural gas generated electricity, natural gas is a little pricier than coal right now. So we're probably going to see a price spike there. Plus it's just, everything else. You think about all the things that come from overseas. Those containers have to get from the coasts to us here in the Midwest. And most of that comes by train.
Yeah, most everything comes by train. So we'll keep an eye on this thing, and Bob will get back to you as events warrant. Thanks for being with us
Bob,
today.
thanks so much for joining us. Great information. Good to see you.